mic, by the way. We are like prisoners to the system, sang by the late Lucky Dube, and we're wondering if our education is about to become late, considering the quality of children that we're bringing out. Mathematics has been questioned. Is it even important? Parents struggling to pay school fees, whether you're in private or public schools. Public schools, speaking of which, 25 billion released, the PS says, for education. And guess what? They owed last term 22 billion. So technically it's 3 billion. But then they say, the government, that no, this 25 billion is for this term. So what about the debt of the last term? There's a question for you, Fellaris.
I want to look at two of the dailies. That's the Standard and the Daily Nation, just to paint a picture of how education is one of those big conversation items this morning and this month. So starting off with the Daily Nation, parents want uniform supply centralized to curb exploitation. Another headline, alarm in legal circles over high bar exam failure rate. Okay. Cash for places scam hits grade 10 intake. Bribery, claims rock TSE as hiring cartel exposed. Still sticking to the dailies, principals warned against charging illegal fees, asking parents for bribes. Tells you that education is a sector that is just, there's so many things going on, and this is not a conversation that we can afford to have in one sitting. We need all stakeholders to come and be part of it, and we are joined in studio by two stakeholders, educators, people playing within that space, and we can be able to substantiate this very big conversation.
Well, the two guests happen to be Ndungu Wagenye, that's the National Secretary, Education Stakeholders Association of Kenya, and Martin Hawkins, who's an administrator and curriculum development, Kitengela International Schools, both in studio, both raring to go, both absolutely welcomed to Capital in the Morning. Gentlemen, good to have you here.
Good to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That sounds like a teacher. Confidence. I like that. Martin, could you move closer to the microphone because your voice was a bit off. So, yes, now, good morning, Martin.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here, man, and looking forward to this conversation. Tell us a little bit about what you do, Martin, because I've just introduced you as an administrator in curriculum development, Kitengela International Schools.
So actually at Kitengela International School, I'm helping to establish the senior school. We are just starting the senior school, that is grade 10. And since it is something new in the country, no one is having much knowledge about it, I've been in education for 16 years and I was called in to help establish it. So that is what I do, basically.
All right, so now we know what Martin is about during work hours every 24 hours. Ndungu, what about you?
Thank you. My name is Ndungu Wagenye. I'm National Secretary of Education Stakeholders Association of Kenya. And this is a federation of all education organizations and associations in Kenya. Actually, amongst ourselves, we have KJSEA, KPSHA, Kidawa, Parents Association. We formed a federation, and I was elected to be its national secretary. And in fact, our chairman is the national chair of KPSHA, that is Kenya Primary Schools Heads Association. Mr. Fuad Ali is a head teacher of Nairobi Primary. And our treasurer is Madam Benta Upande. She is a national chair of Kewota, Kenya Women Teachers Association. And we have many. I'm also an advocate of High Court of Kenya.
Explains a lot. Explains a lot about your personality. Explains a whole lot. So, gentlemen, let's take a turn and focus now on the topic at hand, now that we know what you do. Actually, what specifically do you do? If you were to define what your federation does in one sentence.
Our federation actually came together to be able to shape the narrative of education system in Kenya. And that is why we found that most fragmented associations, they are doing their things the way they know better. Then we found that why can't we have a central organization, just like unions have KOTU, a one central command whereby all the issues the parents have, maybe the private schools have, the Kenya secondary school have, KJSEA, they are speaking here not to charge extra levies, the Kenya women teachers have, and all those other NGOs. Why can't we have a central command to be able to articulate issues with one voice, with one accord.
Well, there's two things we learned there. We learned what the he does and what the Federation does. Second thing we learn is that you do not ask a lawyer or a politician, for that matter, to express something in one sentence because they just simply cannot. But when it comes to you, Ndungu, how about you tell us from the Federation standpoint what you think of the education system right now and the state of the same?
I can say, without fear of contradiction, that the education system we have, that is the CBE, that is currently in place and in implementation, is the best thing we have ever had in this country. And maybe be having some challenges here and there, as the papers have just highlighted. And those challenges will continue to be there. But the most important thing is how are we as stakeholders, both non-state actors and state actors, because as we are non-state actors, how do we mitigate, how do we tackle these challenges? But the CBE model of education is what this country has been yearning for, because it doesn't measure mostly on academic performance. It measures mostly on talents, on what you can be able to do versus what can you be able to memorize. That is the thing.
Out of curiosity, you're a lawyer, so you probably understand where I'm going with this. Out of curiosity, how do you get your funding? I'm trying to establish whether or not you're a hostile witness.
Different associations and different organizations have their independent ways of funding. Like KJSEA, the members contribute to their KJSEA. KEWOTA, members of KEWOTA contribute. And it is from the associations and organizations that forms the federation that also contribute to the central kitty of the federation.
So when you say non-state, you actually mean the government has no stake in it. You're not here.
We are not funded by the we are not funded by the government.
Because we get people here.
We are not funded by the government. We are non-state actors.
All right, so he's not a hostile witness. Great. All right, on to you and your thoughts of the state of education and the new system.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the state of education right now, we all agree that there are challenges, yes. But I'll start by saying that CBE, competency-based education, is the best curriculum because we've seen it happening elsewhere, in Singapore, when you go to Canada, in British Columbia province, it's doing really good. You know, looking at it, we are running away from rote memorization to competencies and values. So in each and every lesson, we ensure that the teacher can incorporate the values. For example, the value of love or peace or integrity. Then, as much as they are teaching the subjects, they make sure that by the end of this lesson, which value did this child get? So it is very important that in every curriculum development, it takes time. We will have these challenges, but as my colleague has said, what is important is how well are we ready to sort out these issues. Thank you.
Change. That's what brings about challenges, right? No questions about that. What's the biggest change you think parents and students should anticipate, expect, or are bound to face as we fully focus and move in entirely into this new system, the CBE?
Thank you very much. Actually, there are a lot of changes. Like right now, I'm dealing with a senior school, and a lot of parents that we are admitting their children right now, they're struggling with understanding the pathway. One parent comes and says, I want my child to take physics. I want my child to be engineer, but he likes business as well. Business falls under social sciences. And according to the directive of the Ministry of Education and KJSEA, you can only go with one pathway. So for example, if a child wants to take engineering, that is STEM. And STEM has 3 branches, pure, applied, and technical studies. Business is not there. So there's no way this child will go under STEM and pick business. If they want to be business people, they go under social sciences. And they're like, now what can we do? So we tell them, you have to make a choice here. So that is one of the major challenges.
Fellaris, isn't that sounding limiting?
It's actually
I'm speaking from a parent's perspective, by the way.
It's it's a beautiful curriculum, okay? It serves its own advantages, and we see how it would be rolling out or putting out students that are actually better in terms of finding different vocations in the workplace. But my one question is, did we rush to roll out this particular curriculum without having communicated and educated the parents and the students as to what to expect, because biggest confusion right now, like you're saying, is there's no clear understanding of the pathways that students are landing in school, and it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction that now all stakeholders are having to deal with. Do you think, and this is a question to the both of you, do you think, one, we rushed to roll out this particular curriculum, and how best would we have handled this, because the whole country is in confusion?
Yes, I'll answer that one straight. Yes,
Okay,
we
yeah.
rushed. And I want to justify my argument here that what happened, and maybe just a small narrative on exactly so that we understand where you're coming from. CBE, or so to be CBC, by then it was being called CBC, before it converted to CBE. Now it's a system of education. The idea was conceptualized way back, I think, in 2015 by the then Minister for Education, Fred Matiang'i, around 2015-2016. But the actual rolling out started in 2017. And I remember by then, because I also worked as a unionist in one of the union called Kupet. I was teaching somewhere in Laikipia County. By then, NAT Secretary General Sosion was very firm against rushing to bring the new model without particularly training and preparing the teachers who are the implementers. Are we together? And he was arguing that before we even roll out the system, why don't we first train the teachers so that first the teachers understand? And you can bear me witness. Once a teacher understands, it becomes easier for a parent to understand, and also for a student to understand. But his agitation fell on deaf ears. By then, Minister Matiang'i could not listen to him. Immediately after 2017 general election, the government, by then under President Uhuru Kenyatta, rolled out massive investment, and you'll bear me witness, and my colleague will bear me witness, that junior secondary was supposed to be domiciled in senior schools. Okay?
Yeah.
And there was massive investment to make sure that now, because grade 9 and 8, because immediately a child did KJSEA in grade 6, he was supposed to go to secondary school.
Yes.
For grade 7, 8, 9, okay, up to 10, 11, and 12. Those were 6 classes in existing secondary school. Let me take an example, maybe Nairobi school here. So Nairobi school was supposed to have 2 more extra classes, to have 6 of them. So what did the government do between 2017 to 2022? A lot of classes were built to be able to accommodate those students who will be coming. A lot of teachers were also employed to secondary school. A lot of laboratories were built to be able to, a lot of even dormitories. Again, in 2022, when Kenya Kwanza government came into place, there was Presidential Working Party on education reforms. I remember by then, in 2022, I was a CEC in charge of education in Nyandarua County. And it was led by Professor Rafael Monuva. They came to our county in Nyandarua headquarters in Olakalau, and we did public participation. Parents themselves said, no, these kids are too small to go to senior school in boardings. So they said, let junior school be domiciled in existing primary school. So there was again another change. The massive investment that had been done in secondary schools was left out with 3 classes, because the remaining 2 extra had to be added again in primary school to accommodate junior school. And even the teachers who are supposed to go to secondary school were reverted back to junior secondary, and they started demonstrating. We have been seeing them here in the streets demonstrating in Nairobi and all over. So what I'm saying is this, and today, like now, next year is the last time we are having KJSEA. Because now we have KJSEA this year. The last KJSEA will be 2027. After that, and even this year, we don't have Form 2s. We have Form 3s and 4s and the 844 system. Then we have grade 10 and a CBE. So what we are saying here is this. If this Presidential Working Party, if it started by doing that before we took off, the confusion would not have been there. But now we have already taken off. The flight is already airborne. We cannot land in the air or in the sea. We are between, London and New York. We are in the Atlantic Ocean. There's nowhere to land. We have to move. So what we do is we mitigate as we move on, because we cannot go back. The infrastructure that were built in existing secondary school, today some of the principals are wondering, what do they do with them? Because they are massive and they are extra. That is the point.
And it's interesting because he brings out a number of points.
Yes.
One of which is big shout out to Wilson Sosion, who was here actually on Tuesday. And while I had some questions about some of the things he was talking about, he was categorical, still stands on the fact that teachers should have been better equipped
And
to
trained.
deal with this.
Yes.
Training being part of that, equipping those teachers. It didn't happen. And as you said, we're mid-flight. The worst case scenario is you either turn back, go back, or you continue going forward, and the fuel is enough to go forward, we don't go back. So we have this system, and there are some specific challenges. And I'll come to you in just a second, Martin, because of that. But what do we do with all this infrastructure? And I understand why parents don't want these young guys being taken to secondary school, because we're exposing them to things that you don't think at that age they should be experiencing. What then do we do with this infrastructure?
The infrastructure, sorry, I don't know whether I'm talking much, but my colleague will also add.
We'll come to Martin, don't worry about that.
The infrastructure that are there, I don't see whether there is, like now we can say without fear of contradiction, that the vacancies that are there in senior secondary, they are enough to accommodate everyone. Because again, as we are saying, the infrastructure was intended for 6 classes. But now we only be having 3. So in essence, what can we say? That we even have excess. Of them, so to speak. In fact, where we need more infrastructure is in junior secondary, because it was not intended for. The infrastructure development for junior secondary only started in 2023. Actually, when Kenya Kwanza government came into place, that is when the infrastructure development for junior secondary started. Because the ones in senior secondary, they are already there. So what can the senior secondary do? Because now the grade 10 are evolving to senior secondary, is to make sure they also increase the enrollment. So that if a school was admitting maybe 200 students, the infrastructure development that is there is enough maybe to accommodate 300. They can increase the enrollment, and more students can get opportunity to learn in the so-called those schools. They are saying, some people are saying they are in our Mulima and others wherever.
Which
can
is
be accommodated.
I love the positive point of view, because then it kills the story of a student being sent to Elgeyo Marakwet to go and study when they live somewhere in Nairobi. Now that has driven parents crazy.
I heard that story of a parent in Marsabit whose student was admitted in Kahawa Garrison Primary in Nairobi. But the parent is in Marsabit. You know, and the principal called me in Marsabit telling me, how do this child go, where will he be living in Kahawa Garrison? In barracks?
Well, we'll have this new system, Martin, do we not? And Martin is still here. He's the administrator in curriculum development, Kitengela International Schools. What are the challenges that you are getting one-on-one from the parents and the students, even forget the public schools, now in a private school?
Now, actually, I think I'm at the right position to understand what parents feel and what teachers feel. One, I'll agree with my colleague that there was a rush. I've worked with different curriculums before. I've worked with British curriculum. It's now in its 168th year. And it took time. If you read at its history, they were teething problems. Even when 844 was introduced, they were teething problems. But the CBE, it's a very good curriculum, but there are certain things that were not put into place. One, curriculum as good as its implementers, the teachers. Right now, I had to take my teachers for what is called retooling. Teacher Service Commission has organized what is called retooling. Teachers have been trained from universities, from training colleges, but they were trained on the previous system. Now, they are coming to deal with the CBE. They are clueless. So you have to take them through training. But now tell me, Chiko, what can somebody gain from a 1-week training?
And this is someone who's supposed to facilitate the students in real time.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is simple. The CB, the retooling should be inculcated into our units at the universities. Not you wait until somebody graduates, then you take them for 1-week retooling. It helps somehow. That is called continuous professional development. It helps somehow. But you can imagine how much it would be very, very much important if it was inculcated right from year, first year, second year, third year, fourth year until they graduate. Then these teachers would come out CBE competent. So that is one challenge. Second, the stakeholders, and the major stakeholders in school, we have many stakeholders, but the major stakeholders in school are the parents. The parents don't understand. Let's just start from KJSEA. A parent want to compare the new grading system to the 844. They come to school and they ask, Mr. Martin, my child got 70 71. Is this airplane?
AE.
What is EE? So we are running away, and we have been told no ranking. And they're like, now where are they? The B plus? What is? Just tell me something that I understand. See, it takes a lot of time, and teachers are struggling with all this as well because we have to keep on training them. There's no way you're going to advise a parent if you don't understand it. So I'm in constant training my teachers. Please, if a parent asks this, say this. Please say this, and don't say this. If you don't understand, please refer. So these are real challenges.
Martin, out of curiosity, let me paint a picture here. As a parent, I can tell you one of the biggest changes and challenges for us is how involved we have to be. And I'm talking not just in terms of time, because that I willingly give to my children, but in terms of finances. Yesterday, Tuesday actually, when Socion was here, we read from the article in the Standard where parents are complaining you need to spend up to 20 to 60,000 on one student just for the materials to do, because it's competency based, right? So we have a lot of things to buy, a lot of things to do together. Some parents don't even understand these things, which then confuses us even further. What are the biggest challenges for teachers? Because you say it's a big change. In what aspect, if either of you could let me know?
Actually, I would go in for that first. I understand. Let me start from the grade 7, 8, and 9. There are certain projects that students are doing at school. At this project, sometimes parents are required to buy. For example, maybe they're going to slaughter chicken, something like that.
Yeah.
Parents are going to buy. But leave alone that is, it's in itself a challenge, because we live in a country where some people spend like less than $1 a day. So that is a challenge. Secondly, when we go to the combination of subjects, in the junior school, we have what is called creative arts. And within creative arts, we have arts, we have music, and we have PE. So to get a teacher who understands music and can teach fine art and can teach physical education is extremely hard. So you find that in one subject learning area that is called, you have to have at least 2 or 3 teachers teaching one subject, but it's called learning area. So you get a teacher who understands music, a teacher of physical education, and a teacher of fine art. This is a little bit confusing students because it's one subject graded as one subject with 3 teachers. That is one challenge that teachers are facing as well.
All right, so here's the thing. He said something that parents are constantly asking, and Fellaris and I were shouting at the same time, AEEs, and luckily for us, we have 2 gentlemen here in studio who will walk us through. One of them is the National Secretary Education Stakeholders Association of Kenya. We have plenty to hear from him. Also, our learned friend. I'm not sure I can say it, but yeah.
that's true.
And also, this is, of course, Wagenye. And then we have Martin Hawkins, who's an administrator in curriculum development, Kitengela International Schools, which means if you are a parent and you're listening in and you're wondering, is 71 a pass or not? What's an A? What's an AAAE? What's an EE? Who's a me? And we will be asking him to break it down so that in case your teacher hasn't been able to do it, then you will have a bit more understanding. Because if you don't understand, what's the point of it anyway? Right? But first, mchezo ya town.
Mimi nilikuwa nikinunua nyanya, alafu shwap, mama akawika, ameshinda 50k school fees. Habari ndio hiyo. Save big, win big. Panga maisha yako. Open and save in your KCB Gold Savings account via the KCB app or by visiting any branch for a chance to win many prizes, including the grand prize of 500k MMF deposit or a 1-bedroom apartment. Refisha ushinde. KCB, for people, for better. Regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
3, 2, 1, Happy New Year!
New year, new vibes, same legendary sound. From the heart of Nairobi to the shores of Mombasa, Capital FM wishes you a massive, happy 2026. Whether you're on the move or at home, we've got the country covered. Look us in at 98.4 in Nairobi and Mombasa, 98.5 in Nakuru and Nyeri, 93.0 in Kisumu and Eldoret, and 103.9 in Meru. Out of range? No problem. Stream us live anytime, anywhere at capitalfm.co.ke or download the Capital FM app for that crystal clear digital sound. It's a brand new year, but one thing never changes. We remain the home of the hits. Capital FM, the best mix of music.
It's all in the delivery and presentation.
98.4 Capital FM.
Capital Traffic and Travel.
Well, I hope the traffic is heading on to www.capitalfm.co.ke/listen live for this very, very important conversation. Man, oh man. Do you know, I'm here wishing we had like an extra hour because I have so many questions. But the one thing I am taking away from this conversation is that I am glad I am not a parent. I have never been happier to not deal with these stresses. If you are on North Airport Road, you're a parent, you're taking your kid to school, or unto you because you have to deal with traffic and then you still have to deal with the shenanigans that is education in this country, 7-minute delays. Well, Wayaki, we're heading down towards the Westlands roundabout. Slow moving traffic, but it is moving nonetheless. Sections of Parklands are looking quite busy. Could be, again, school drop-offs and all of that. Kiambu Road looking quite busy. Thika Road, well, traffic has eased up, starts all the way from the Mathari Training and College, Medical Training College, heading down towards Pangani, and Langata Road, heading down towards Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Well, that is not looking too shabby. And, well, if you're planning to make it to Westlands or anywhere towards the airport, how about you use the expressway because that is looking clear. If you spot any incidents or accidents, let us know. 0701 984 984 or at 984 in the morning using the hashtag #DriveInDublin at the end.
Capital Traffic and Travel.
In Capital Newsbeat this hour.
Pastor Ndungu collapses after 79 hours into 80-hour tree-hugging challenge. Ruto meets education stakeholders to tackle school funding and reforms. And South Korean President Lee's visit deepens China-South Korea relations.
More in Capital Newsbeat.
Capital Sports Update, where sports is taken seriously.
Okay, on a very serious note, before we take sports more seriously, why are you hugging a tree for 80 hours and collapsing? For what
Cancer awareness.
reason? That
Raising
has
awareness
only
for
brought us
cancer.
awareness of how crazy people can be. No, I'm sorry.
It's
There are
insane.
different ways to do cancer awareness. In fact,
Yep.
how about you fund some funds into cancer clinics and help actually fight it? Bringing awareness to a disease that we know is
79
there.
hours.
79 hours.
Crazy.
How has that changed our lives? Or fought cancer?
I actually
Guys,
hope he's okay. Well,
I do hope he's
in
okay.
hospital.
But
Yeah.
I do hope he also learns from that, and the rest of us, iwe funzo kwetu kama sisi. We can do better differently. And if you catch a feeling, sorry, deal with it. Meanwhile, former Tusker attacker John Njuguna says he is looking forward to continental football with his new side, Nairobi United. Njuguna says he cannot wait to get back on the pitch after a rather long spell without a club.
It's been a while, nimekuwa nje, so getting this opportunity, I don't take it for granted. And it feels nice to be here. Looking forward to start kucheza continental football is one of the factors that I considered coming here.
Well, Njuguna has been without a club for quite some time. So what are we supposed to do to raise awareness for players who can play, depend on the craft, and don't have a club? Hug a post for 80 hours? Come on.
79.
Now. 79 hours and then let go? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, the winger is Naiboy's second signing, by the way, in case you're wondering. This season, ex-Mathare United midfielder Roy Okal is the other guy that the boys have signed. All the best to them. Now, other news, Africa Games champion Angela Okutoyi and fencing superstar Alexander Ndolo are among 8 Kenyan athletes who will be benefiting from a $1 million sponsorship, or scholarship I should say, to enable them prepare properly for the 2028 LA Olympics. Under the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, the Individual Athlete Scholarship Program enables Kenyan sportspersons to prepare adequately for all international competitions and also maximize on their talents without the financial baggage associated with the same. It's kind of like taking your kids to school, you don't understand CBE, and then you just leave it to the teacher. Wemfunze, wempitishe, give them a future. I'll pay the fees. Good morning, parents. Apart from Okutoyi and Dono, other athletes who will be benefiting from the scholarship program include Priscilla Mburu, who's shooting air rifle, Joshua Amunga, weightlifting, Juliana Nyango, who is weightlifting as well, Matonya Mathayo in wrestling, Bwaku Kudwoli in swimming, and Sarah Mose in swimming. That is your sports update. We have a host of other stories and more details if you just click on our website, www.capitalfm.co.ke.
Capital Sports Update. Up to the minute sports, where sports is taken seriously. Coffee's on, and so is the music. You've found your morning show. Capital in the Morning with Chiko and Fellaris.
I'm sorry, you're not missing out on this conversation. When the mics are off, it gets a bit heated here at Capital in the Morning. And so I've turned them on, so I'll catch you up, and then Fellaris is going to pick up from exactly where she has left off. You were just listening to Express Yourself, Madonna, and Fellaris is about to express herself and express us at the same time. Now, listen, we were having a conversation here, and I was asking both Ndungu and, of course, Martin, why in heaven's name we don't feel like we're robbing these kids. To me, CBE kind of feels at times like it's, you know, those competitions where you go and all kids are told, we don't have any losers here. Everyone's a winner. Everyone gets a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal. Thank you, Oprah. But then there's no competition, and then it brings in incompetency. No? Ndungu said, no, brah, let me tell you, I did metal work in the technical school in high school, and he made his own first candle holder, which is still in the house. And I asked him, you're a lawyer now, when's the last time you used that skill? And I told him, I feel like you're limiting these kids. If you do STEM, then in the future, you don't get equipped to arts. And then Fellaris does what Fellaris does. She took the words that I intended to make, my argument, and put it in a simple statement. It is simply saying we're limiting these kids, and in turn, we're robbing them of getting general knowledge. Now, don't get me wrong, the lawyer does not fail jumping in saying, oh yeah, you're master of all trades and a jack of none, you end up doing nothing. But Fellaris did come out with a point that, listen, we as Kenyans in the employment market have always been a cut above the rest because of our broad ability to grasp everything, which was the case with 844. Now, we're not going to argue and have it come back because it's gone. But Fellaris was giving now, this is where you catch up, an example of herself. Express yourself.
So it's, if you think about it, 844 kind of exposes us to a lot of things outside of the cramming, because it's a cramming system for you to be able to just load as much information in your head. But what it does for you is, think about when you get into the professional space. Kenyans have a very natural ability to, or pivot into very different spaces, given that we feel very comfortable exploring different areas of our lives and different kind of fields because of the foundation that was set for us, which is 844. So now we come in with this very specialized kind of program, and it takes away from, again, the broadness in which our kids are able to get into the job market, get into the world, and actually find themselves in different spaces. Whilst it has its advantages, which is good, I still think there was space for 844 to, maybe be refined instead of taking it away completely.
Let me start by answering so that my colleague maybe can add. 844, the intention that it was intended for, eventually it evaporated or it vanished along the way. Because as we are saying, most of us, and Ferrari will also bear me witness, when they were learning, maybe at 844 at preliminary stages, we used even to have home science in primary. Where
I
we
did
could shone our pajamas and all
that.
Oh, yes. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe make a cake using Chiko and all that. We used to do that.
Yes.
And it was supposed to equip you with the skills to be able to survive. But along the way, again, we lost the focus. We ended up narrowing down to cramming of subject overnight of a karai of water so that you pass exams, and then the next morning your child has 400 marks, he is admitted to Alliance High School or wherever school, let me call it school A or school B, then he gets his clean A, then he is admitted to University of Nairobi or another university to pursue medicine. Along the way, again, he crams, he cheats. Along the way, he produces his degree. And then when you take that person to the job market, he can deliver. We have so many people here. You bring them to this studio to operate this IT system, and they have a degree, actually, in IT, or even a master's. They can't do it. Isn't it?
Yeah.
They can't do it. Because
technically, our IT guy, Kikata, is the case study. He can't do it either.
They can't do it.
But we employed him.
They can't do it. Sorry, so to speak. We have even somebody, maybe he becomes a lawyer. You tell him to draft a pleading. He can't do it. You tell somebody he's an engineer or an architect, draw for me a drawing, of a building and develop it. He can't do it because all through the way he has been cramming, and also he has been maybe also cheating in exam. Because when you see competition for marks comes, what comes there is cheating aspect clocks in. When cheating aspects clocks in, you produce graduates who cannot deliver. Are we together? So along the way, we lost the focus for 844. So we had to sit down and ask ourselves, because we have been having issues whereby a surgeon operates a patient and he leaves a pair of scissors inside the stomach. Okay? Is that a really qualified surgeon? This is even a professional misconduct. A professional negligence is supposed to be charged in a court of law. So along the way, we lost focus. So we had to sit down and ask ourselves, where did we lose the cause, and can we go back where we lost the way, and now start saying, if it is Ferrari or it's Chiko, we ask you, what can you do better? Can you train you skills first before you even cram? Are we together?
Wagenye, I can argue for that to a certain extent, because even the Daily Nation page 2 actually reads alarm in legal circles. Is it page? Oh no, it's actually not page 2. It's page
high bar exam failure.
Page 8. Is that page 6? I can't see it from here. But yeah, page 6. Alarm in legal circles over high bar exam failure rate.
Yes.
Which is a testament to 844 and the cheating that was in the case. And here I can also argue against, because we have parents, and I'm one of them, who do these projects with these kids at home, and guess who ends up doing most of the project? You want to take a guess, Martin?
Is it now you doing or the child doing?
You want to take a guess, Martin? You are in hands-on.
The parent.
Thank you very much.
Actually, I'm very curious. What happens in boarding schools? So kids who are within boarding facilities who don't have a guardian, a parent present with them to help them, because CBC and CBE is very involving. The parent is very much involved. What happens in the boarding school facilities?
Fellaris, that's a very good question, and this brings me back to the resources in school. I've started by giving an example of a subject called creative arts. Creative arts has PE, and PE, there's swimming there. How many schools have swimming pools, or how many schools, even primary schools, that cannot just access some water somewhere to swim?
Well,
You'll
there's
answer that
rivers.
later.
Yeah.
So, for CBE, as we said, we all agree curriculum, but we have to have the resources. And resources here, I'm talking about physical resources that we can touch and the human resources that will implement it. Now, schools that are boarding, our school, I'm not marketing it, but it's a boarding school and a day school as well. And we have all the resources. Now, what we do, we write the requirements that are done. We know when these projects will be required, and we write these requirements, and the parents are sending them to school. Now the challenge is that parental support, which Chiko is talking about overnight, is not there. So the teachers are coming in to support these learners.
So you have teachers more or less occupying the space of the guardians.
Space of the guardians.
Is this compensated?
In the salary?
Well, there has to be a form of compensation. And even while we're still on that, the other thing that I'm very curious about is between private institutions and public institutions. Of course, the resources are not balanced.
Yeah.
Okay, and therefore you have a parent who'd be able to bring a child to a facility like yours, which is private, then they have a certain advantage over those in public institutions. Do you think CBE is then able to deliver a balanced sort of like, is it able to balance the quality of students that are coming out, understanding that resources are more or less not balanced?
And quality of education,
Yeah, the
because
quality of the-
if a parent
exactly.
can't afford, schools can't afford a swimming pool, my kid, who wants to be a swimmer, by the way, and is not like 844, wants to focus on sports, can't swim, because where exactly are you swimming when you're in a Heshima Road Primary School?
Yeah,
Actually, I watched something over TikTok, and this teacher put students on the sand. You know, sand, like a heap of sand,
Yeah.
and telling them to do like this, to flip like they are swimming. You know, whether you do it on the sand for 10 years, if you are dropped in water, you can't swim. You can't.
You cannot do
can't.
it.
The experience, the buoyancy, everything is different. You can't. So, talking about the quality will always differ. That is why parents are rushing for these resource schools. Because if there's a student, let's say in our school we have a swimming pool, and that swimming lesson will be practical. Another school, another student in another school where there's no swimming pool, where will they get the skill? The teacher will be basing on theoretical. But theory is different. If you're dropped in water, you'd say, no, I want a baby pool, because you can't go to the deep end. You can't.
Tell me about it. I don't know how to swim, so I'm not even delving into that
maybe
argument.
also
I do have a
looking
question for you.
Yeah, looking at it from another perspective, I think we have what we call complementary, issue or aspect here, whereby a school A has a swimming pool, a school B does not have a swimming pool. Then those kids, those students who are supposed not to learn maybe specifically with swimming, as it's a PE lesson for swimming, they can be in that school A that does not have swimming pool. Then the one that has swimming pool, those ones that are there that want to do swimming as a PE or as a social science, arts and sports activity, they can do it in the one that has swimming pool. Also, there is
Let's take Isiolo, for example.
And the one thing
Gail Marquette, for example.
the one thing
Tell
I
me
like-
which school you're going to interchange that.
Maybe Liver, because like, and here you have two of them. But anyway, it's also something. Chiko and the Fellaris.
Chiko,
Chiko, let me tell you,
Wagenye.
some of us who grew in village, we used to swim in the river, naked actually.
Well, thanks for that picture.
But now, I'm not saying that we go back to that, because we cannot go back to that. I have seen schools, and that is why the management of school also need to be creative in what they are intending to do. Because I have seen some schools in some not major towns, a small town like Kolkalau, which is not a very big town, it's a township, I think it has been upgraded to an urban center. It has only 2 hotels that has swimming pool. And I think the county government also developed, under Governor Kimemia, which I served as ECEC, we built a swimming pool for the public. So what happens, that swimming pool becomes part of learning of students within the nearby primary school. Because the schools do not have a functional swimming pool, okay, then AC Primary School is a government school, and students want to learn swimming. They usually book, there is a diary where they book, school A will swim from this time to this time. Another school will swim from this time to this time. I'm not saying that that is the best way we can do it, because with the time, the school also need to develop its swimming pool. But to begin with, those are some of the issues and creativeness that the management come up with, so that they liaise with the local hotels that have swimming pool, they liaise with the county government. I've told you, Nyandarua County Government and Governor Kimemia built a swimming pool, and that is the swimming pool that help both the public and the learning institution. And most students have managed to learn how to swim. Those who cannot afford, like some of us who we swam in the river naked, and we are here and we know how to swim.
Listen, we're wrapping this one up, but there are two things I'd like us to touch on. If you flip to the page just before that alarm from the legal circle, you'll see a story on the cash for places scam that's hitting grade 10 intake. In fact, parents claiming they have to pay between 50 to 400,000 shillings to get their child taken in, and one parent actually says they were asked to pay a commitment fee of 10,000 shillings in order for their child to get into a place in Kisumu school. The parent from Nairobi says her son had been placed in a day school in Bungoma. So it's still going to be a big problem, this placement thing. When it comes to Kitengela school, of course, it's a different system altogether. But when it comes to the public schools, this is a concern for parents. How do we address it?
But if it is it's a bribery, that's a criminal offense, and it's supposed to be arrested and charged.
Wagenye, please, let's not even go into that, because we know the legal system in this country, and we know the situation these parents find themselves. Utatoka hapo, how do you prove it? Also, you want the best for your child, and you know this law will not always be fair. Case in point, but Chiko, a rape of a 13-year-old, and someone posting a picture on AI, 1 million, another 300,000, judiciary, jury special, whatever you want to call it. We're not getting into that argument. How do we deal with these situations, these schools, from your organization standpoint?
What we have agitated for, and particularly when it comes to this, like when you are told, go and pay so that you come for admission form. I think that thing arose from a fact whereby one parent could collect admission letters for school A, school B, school C, and school D. All of them. One parent having 4 admission letters for 4 different schools. So when it came to that, the principals through KJSEA and also the ministry had to come down with a policy and say, now, for you to be able to change, one, you need, initially the schools were used to be changed in Jogo House. You initiated in your local primary school where you did KJSEA, then it's approved, so that one admission letter is generated. So that Chiko does not have 4 admission letter, and Fellaris does not have any for his or her child. Or also my colleague here does not have. But that notwithstanding, whatever you pay in the school account, if it's 20,000 or 30,000, becomes part of your school fees. Meaning it will be deducted when your child reports to school. If your child was supposed to pay 53,000 and you have already paid 20,000 for admission form, then you are going to pay the balance of that 3. It should not be part of the bribery. But if it is bribery also, there is a legal system, and I did my pupillage in criminal court, so I'm a criminal lawyer, a specialist in that area, and I know once you are arraigned in court and you take plea, again, the investigation and the prosecutor has to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt for you to convict somebody. You better release 1,000 convict than convict one innocent person. It is very painful.
A minute?
Jump.
No, 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Now, as we are wrapping this up, we need to come to terms that the placement was a mess. That is one. And
technically your 10 seconds were over, so don't accuse students of lying. Don't so many students are not. Go ahead.
The placement was a mess. And right now, today is 8th, right? And the reporting date is 13th.
Yeah.
And there are parents that have they are not sure the schools. Now, tell me practically, Chiko, you said you're a parent. When are you going to get a school and do the shopping and take your child to school? So the parents were pleading for the extension. And it is really hard. Coming back to the payment, this is something that I can't prove, but I know this is Kenya. Sometimes maybe it's going on. And parents, you must understand them that they're between a rock and a hard place. Now they want a position. This is a good school, as they call it, maybe national C1 school, and you've been told pay 20. It's either you pay or you don't get a chance, or we have two chances. Now they pay, but there's no accountability. If it's happening, too bad.
Chiko, we cannot rule out, as I wind up, we cannot rule out the issue of, undesirable element. Even in the TSC, you have seen that, job scandals of employment. And I'm happy because the TSC has managed to transfer so that investigation can be done, so that disciplinary action can be taken against those officers who are involved. We cannot rule out rotten elements within any system, even in this system. There are always rotten elements. But, and again, I agree with my colleague. Placement was initially not very, actually was among the first people who raised the concern on making sure that the placement is taken back to school so that school can handle their placement specifically individual.
Absolutely. Fully agree with you. There's corruption in everything, TSC, but you see, for me, the point is these are all guards on their way out of this earthly door. Let them deal with the drama, but we do not want to play around with the future of this country, and I think that's exactly what we're doing. Ndungu Wagenye, who is the National Secretary Education Stakeholders Association of Kenya, joining us alongside Martin Hawkins, the soft-spoken but hard-hitting Administrator and Curriculum Development, Kitengela International School, right here on Capital in the morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time, and all the best as you maneuver. Oh, I am sorry, I can't fail. What does AEECCME actually mean? Break it down for us quickly before we go into the news. I'm sorry, everyone waiting. Nicholas.
So we are no longer dealing with the A's to E's to D's to B's. So it's below. We start with below expectation, approaching expectation, meeting expectation, and exceeding. Now, initially, it was only up to 4. Then they figure it out. Now, 4 points. How it's going to work out? How do you know a student who was strong